And welcome courtside from the Hoopsville courtside position. I'm Dave McHugh. I'm actually joined by Mike DeWitt, head coach of Ohio Wesleyan. The undefeated is over for Whitman. The run is ended. They will not get to a championship game like Benedictine did last year. And if, as my broadcast partner Lincoln Rose said, maybe Bo Ryan and Platteville is popping open the champagne, as they're still the only undefeated teams, or the most recent at least, in Division III. Mike, Babson was down 25 points in the first half. Closed the gap. Everybody's done that against Whitman. But in the second half, Whitman pulled away a little bit. Babson came back. No big deal. And then did Babson do something better to turn on the Jets and pull away? Or did Whitman just come unglued?
I think Babson adjusted to Whitman's full court pressure very well after about the 10-minute mark of the first half. Once that happened and once Babson stopped turning the ball over so much, they got open looks. They got great shots. They were able to limit the turnovers, which Whitman is so good at forcing. I was completely impressed with both teams. I thought Whitman did a great job to get here and played their style to almost perfection. And Babson's got Flannery.
Yeah.
My gosh. I know, and a lot of those other kids played so well, but Joey Flannery is their leading scorer, I believe. Had a double-double. And was also guarding the point guard for Whitman, Tim Howell, in the second half, and that bothered Howell a little bit. And I think that adjustment with limiting Howell's ability to get to the rim and get to the basket forced them to miss some shots. Babson was able to control the rebounds a little bit, and then they were able to handle the pressure and get layups and open shots. But completely impressed with Flannery, even though as coaches, we were sitting over there watching, so impressed with all of Babson's players. I read something earlier about how Babson is more of a complete team than they were 2 years ago. They're more than just Joey Flannery, and that was the case tonight. A lot of those other guys stepped up. Number 24, Charlie Rice, was completely impressive on the boards. He got a big offensive rebound on a free throw at the end. But to a long answer to your question, I thought Babson just handled Whitman's pressure much better as the game wore on.
Fascinating to see that, Flannery, we all know, can, at some point make the switch and put the team on his back. He did that, but his teammates came with him. There were a lot of guys who were contributing. Nelson was hitting shots inside. Commondale hit a couple beauties from outside. Lowry had a couple beautiful passes. Flannery had the pass of the night between the guy's legs to hit his teammate on the side. But that's the thing, is when he flips it on and says, hey, I'm going to put this team on my back, they get on his back and contribute with him. I
think good teams do that. They have great leaders and kids that will follow. And I think Joey Flannery is the unquestioned leader of that team. But they have some good players who understand that Joey Flannery is the leader of that team. And that creates some good chemistry. And they trust him and he trusts them. And they're playing for national championship tomorrow night because of it.
I don't think I saw Whitman do anything wrong. I thought they played their style of game. I mean, they forced at least 19 turnovers, 23 for Babson, which is right as the average. So they certainly forced Babson into bad decisions. They shot well. They shot 46% for the game, though Babson shot 58%. They got their second chance opportunities. They just didn't get a couple shots to fall, and maybe a couple questionable possessions, but I didn't see anything overly wrong, or they would go back and do that again.
I agree with you. I think, Whitman's percentages went down as the game went on. Hard to tell if that was because of Babson's defense or just Whitman missing shots. They were good shots. I thought they were the shots they were making in the first half, and that's what made it a great game. Like both teams showed up to play. Both teams played the way they wanted to play. One team was just a little better and made a few more shots as the game wore on.
Whitman has everybody come back.
Yeah, don't they?
Scheduling them anytime soon?
I was just talking to Gordon Mann. We're actually going to we've signed up for the D3Hoops.com Classic, at which Whitman is going to be present. So
have
I don't
you made
know
a
if
request?
we'll match up. I have not. I'm not sure I want to. Although it'd be
either
kind
way,
of a cool matchup with our good point guard and Whitman's.
Is that next year?
Yeah. Again, very impressed with. Don't talk me into that. Very impressed with Whitman. Like we saw them last week at Marietta. And good for them for coming out of the Northwest and getting here, and maybe proving to people that maybe teams from the Northwest can get here and do that if given the opportunity. And again, impressed with Coach Bridgeland and what he did with that team. To go undefeated up to this point, unbelievable. And you know, with everybody back, you know, they're going to get some #1 votes, I would assume, at the beginning of the season next year.
I can imagine. We're so tight on time that if you don't mind, I just want to kind of get your sense. I know you don't know these two teams necessarily well, but you know the programs, Augustana and Williams. By the time we're done, we're going to have to go off the air. So your thoughts on the next game up? I mean, the first game lived up to the billing, plain and simple. Augustana and Williams, two teams with 8 losses. No one really expected much of them coming into the tournament. Here they are. What do you think?
Both great stories.
Yeah.
You know, Augustana was here 2 years ago, had everybody back, suffered a tough, I think, second-round defeat at home last year against St. Thomas. No one expected anything out of them this year, and bang, they win the CCIW and make a huge run through the tournament with several guys who played on their junior varsity team, I think, last year. So great story by them. Obviously, great coaching to get them that far. They're a program. They're not just a team. Obviously, Williams is the same way. You know, when Coach Maker left, and I think it's Kevin App replaced him, I think some people maybe thought they'd take a step backward, but you know, after maybe a year of struggling, I'm not quite sure. They're right back where they've been for years and years. So two great programs. If this game is as good as the first game was, I mean, I think everyone's in for a treat.
This might be one of the more memorable semifinals days that we've had in a long time.
That first game, the Whitman-Babson game, is one of the better games I've seen here.
Absolutely.
And I've been here, coming here for a long time. Just a great basketball game. And you're right, if this game can come close to that, it's certainly a great night of basketball.
Absolutely. Well, he's Mike DeWitt. I'm Dave McHugh. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get a chance to talk to the coaches of these two teams, Gray Giovanni and Kevin App, about what they expect in this game. Then we're going to have a real short period of time to quickly get you ready for game number 2. Babson upsets Whitman. I guess when you're the undefeated team, it is an upset, but Babson certainly was the previous #1 team, so it's really hard to call it that. But Babson's moving on to the national championship for the first time in program history. Who they will play, Augustana or Williams, we'll find out after this break when we talk to the coaches and get ready for game number 2.
Defining moments. Championship dreams. Share the experience with your family and friends. The 2017 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 17th and 18th at the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia. Visit ncaa.com/tickets for your tickets today.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
When George Fox University was founded in 1891, its creators envisioned 2 things: a challenging educational experience and a community where students could deepen their faith. 125 years later, the core of who we are remains unchanged, and our focus on the whole person, our Be Known promise, remains as vibrant and relevant today as it was back then. At George Fox University, you'll never be a number. You will be known.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Welcome back to the Hoopsville Courtside pregame show. I'm Dave McHugh. We're now talking to the coaches of the second semifinal. as we get ready for semifinal number 2, Williams versus Augustana. Joining me now, Kevin App, the head coach of Williams Eafs. And first and foremost, congratulations on getting here. I don't think anybody really had expectations to see the Eafs here in Salem.
Yeah, maybe except for us. I mean,
Sure.
I mean that's we feel if we can get through the NESCAC and make the tournament, we have a chance.
Absolutely.
And so when we were able to kind of get hot, make a run late, and get into the tournament, you just take it one game at a time and see what happens. And I was pretty proud of our guys for making that happen.
I didn't talk about this, but how important was it to have the opportunity, the break, as it were, to host the opening weekend? Scranton can't host because their women are, so it comes to your gym instead. How important was that for you guys?
I think it was big for us just because we'd been on the road for the previous 4 weekends, I think, between the end of league play and the NESCAC tournament. So if we would have had to jump back on the road again, just been tough mentally. I thought it kind of reinvigorated us energy-wise to have the home crowd behind us. Dan and Tayshawn as seniors obviously got to play with that excitement of, being back in our home gym for a couple more nights when, they thought their last home game was a month before that. Right. So I think it definitely factored into kind of just rejuvenating the guys a little bit.
Nothing against your opponents, but Becker wasn't much of a challenge. Scranton ended up not being as much of a challenge as everyone anticipated. Same thing went with Susquehanna. Yeah. You guys ended up handling them pretty well. And then you took on Middlebury. So it almost feels interesting that your big challenge came at the end. You hadn't had a real test until that point. And you're taking on a team that absolutely blitzed you in the NESCAC tournament. How do you get up for a game like that?
Yeah, I mean, not that tough. I mean, when you win big, it's not that it's easy.
Sure.
And, I think we've proven that the score really doesn't matter. It's how you approach the game. And I think if you approach it in the right way, whether it's a close game or you end up going on a run and winning big, that's more important than what the final score is. So, it's a test, for these young guys to play in their first NCAA game. They passed that one, test to play in the Sweet 16, and they competed at a high level. And then, seeing a team that we played twice already, I think that, at that stage helped us a little bit.
Sure.
It was able to kind of ease the tension, and, I thought the guys wanted to show that the NESCAC finals, that was Middlebury's day. They played great. They, made some shots, played really hard, and we felt we didn't bring the energy in the second half we needed. So they wanted to show that we could do it for 40 minutes against a good team on their home court, and pulled out. Game just came down to a couple of misses and makes here and there. Pulled it out.
Daniel Runowitz, we talked to in the first pregame show, and we discussed how, leading at halftime against Middlebury, which you had in the NESCAC tournament, and the conversation at halftime of, hey, watch out. They came out last time and bopped us on the nose here. We got to be ready. How much did you guys take that second half maybe a little bit differently than you had the previous time?
Yeah, I mean, as a coach this time of year, it's comforting when you can kind of hear what they're talking about at halftime, and they're saying everything you were going to say. Comforting, but also then
taking all your material.
Then you don't know what else to say.
Right.
So you got to kill a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, they, we talked about it, and they've been in so many different situations this year. So they knew that we had to maintain our focus, maintain our energy. That really the first half didn't matter at that point. And again, they wanted to prove that they could do it for 40 minutes at a high level.
This is the 8th time Williams has made the Final Four. 9th time technically they've made Salem as they made the Elite Eight. That one year we had it here. So it's somewhat familiar, but for this unit, it's not. It's your first time. You have 2 seniors who made it their freshman year, but the rest of the team hasn't been here. So does it feel new to a lot of this team, despite how often Williams has been here?
Yeah, obviously it's, I'd like to thank those other 7, 8 teams that you spoke of, because it allows us as coaches to kind of create this vision for them in the recruiting process. So, it's not a fantasy or anything. It's,
right.
We get to create that vision early on, and so it's new, and they're excited they're doing it, but they came to Williams expecting that they would get that opportunity. So now that they did, they're excited to be here and make the most of it. But I don't think they feel overwhelmed or in shock because, again, as our program, since the late 90s has kind of grown, we're able to create that vision much earlier on. It's not, wait until we get good and create the vision. It's no, we're creating it during the recruiting process. And I think that has helped us later in the year.
Yeah, Williams has become synonymous with this place since they made their first appearance in '97. Curious, though, have you called other coaches like Coach Maker and said, hey, give me a little bit of tidbits about Salem and what I'm going to experience there?
Yeah, Coach is one of my good friends and mentors. Coach Sheehy, Coach Paulson, Coach Maker have all, reached out. They're pretty fired up for us. Coach Maker, being my friend, just wants me to enjoy it, me to figure it out, and he'll joke you don't want to mess me up. But yeah, just talk to those guys more about logistically anything they felt worked better, didn't work. So definitely it's been good to hear from them as we've made this run.
You've looked at a lot of tape of Augustana. I know you probably know Augustana better than you'd rather know your team. But what do you see out of this Augustana squad that you hope to take advantage of? What do you see that concerns you?
The concern is just like a lot of teams now is they're just so balanced in that, you watch one game, you're like, oh, that kid's really good. You watch another game, and it's another player stepping up and making big shots, big plays. So any team that has, 6 to 8 guys that can go off and you got to worry about, it's tough to prepare for because you got to be that much more focused, that more locked in. So we got to do a good job. You look at the stats, and so many of them are similar to ours. Even in terms of just experience and roster and everything. So, we'll play our game and compete. And, we've learned this year it's a lot more about our mentality in terms of, not making the moment bigger than it is and not stressing ourselves out emotionally and mentally and just competing and see what happens.
When we watch this game, whether it be a fan or someone who knows your team well or those of us broadcasting it, what should we key on early in the game to understand that things are either working your way or you're going to need to start making adjustments?
I think what I keep telling the team is, as a coaching staff, what we're looking at, when we're playing with energy on the defensive end, not perfect, just flying around and competing, and everybody's flying in for rebounds. You're getting some of the 50-50 balls. That to me tells me that we're playing with confidence. Not whether the shots are going in, not whether we're making plays on that end. That kind of takes care of itself with this group. It's more so whether we're playing with confidence on the defensive end, and that means doing what we're supposed to do and playing with that, just competitive energy to us that you need to be successful on that end.
Very good. Well, congratulations on getting here. Good luck against Augustana.
Thanks so much.
Here's Kevin App, head coach for Williams. When we come back, we talk to his opponent. Gray Giovanni of Augustana joins me here in the Hoopsville Courtside Show. Back with more from Salem after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
It's on us to stop sexual assault
in any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
It starts right when you hit the court. You imagine your finest moment. The game-winning shot that gets you to the dance. A monster dunk or no-look pass. And cutting down the net. Sports lets us dream of our own success. And prepare us for our finest moments on and off the court.
At George Fox University, our promise is that every student will be known, personally, academically, and spiritually. To be known means professors and staff know you by name. It means you're valued, encouraged, and challenged. It means we'll listen to you and with you as you pursue God's call in your life. At George Fox University, you will never be a number. You will be known. Visit georgefox.edu to learn more.
Defining moments. Championship dreams. Share the experience with your family and friends. The 2017 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Championship, March 17th and 18th at the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia. Visit ncaa.com/tickets for your tickets today.
Welcome back to the Hoopsville Pre-game show. We're not courtside necessarily. We're getting ready, talking to the coaches a day in advance for this one as we get ready for our semifinals. Semifinal number 2, we should point out. And Augustana's Greg Giovanni joins me here to talk about it. And first and foremost, welcome back to Salem. Second time in 3 years. But this might be the most unexpected trip, at least from a national point of view.
Well, I think it is. I think a couple of years ago we had a great team. Last year had an outstanding group, went 29-2. But to be back with a group that returned no starters, I think is a little bit of a surprise for everybody.
Come on, you lost 8 seniors, you lost your top 6 scorers. There's guys on this team starting who barely saw minutes last year. This is a completely different look. It almost feels like you guys have just had fun this season versus playing with the pressure that I think you had the last 2 years.
I think you're right. We had some pretty good young players last year. We knew we had a good recruiting class. Certainly expectations were way different. And that's kind of the vibe that you get certainly in the last 3 or 4 weeks with this group. They were thrilled to get an at-large bid. All of us were, and so going into the tournament, there wasn't any real buddy wound tight, including their coach probably. And so I think we've played with great confidence.
I think that's the interesting thing. At the end of the season, you kind of stumbled a little bit. I want to say you lost 4 of the last 6 games or something like that. And so I can see where confidence can erode at that point, or almost like, okay, this great season, we've kind of run out of gas. You got invited in the tournament. I don't think anybody was surprised by that. Where was the reset button? Where was that moment that said, okay, guys, this is new, we're changing gears? Well,
we got beat our last 3 games. People say, oh, you collapsed. We didn't really collapse. We played 3 real good teams in a row. We lost it at North Park in a heck of a game. We lost at Carroll, and then Wesleyan got us pretty good. And I think after that, we came back, and a day we were scheduled to practice, we went to the swimming pool. And I said, wash all that off of you.
Awesome.
And they did, and then we came back and really got dialed in, and I thought I had a great effort at North Park in the semifinals, which to me was a play-in game to the NCAA tournament. We really felt like if we won that game, we'd get a bid. And then we lost in a heck of a game to North Central, very good team, and got the at-large bid. And I think from that point, really going into the conference tournament, we felt like we kind of mentally got healthy again, and guys were dialed in and ready to go.
I know we talked about this on Hoops, so I won't go into too much, but that first weekend was just a true gut check. You played 2 former champs, the last 2 champs in Whitewater and St. Thomas, not in that order, but the championships they were. Certainly you're playing at Whitewater. You're playing 2 teams that are usually phenomenal, but both kind of in the same rebuild or retooling stage that you guys have been in. And you come out with last-second shots out of both of them. That had to breed confidence into the second weekend.
No question. To kind of vanquish our nemesis in St. Thomas, that beat us last year was such a big deal. So many of these guys saw the pain that last year's group went through in that loss and not advancing to the Final Four. So that had a great meaning for our team. And then we play Whitewater at home, in really a rematch of a game we'd had a couple years prior in the same venue, in the same point in the NCAA tournament. So played very well, and I think we led by 8 with about a minute and a half to go, and then kind of stumbled down the stretch, but come out of that with another buzzer beater, and then you kind of feel like, well, hey, we've caught lightning in a bottle here, and it certainly carried over into last weekend as well.
I should say, misspoke. 2 of the last 3 champs in Whitewater and St. Thomas, Stevens Point, 1 in between, against you guys here in Salem, which is what I'm using as a transition. You're back in Salem. What do you hope to get out of this weekend? I mean, 2 years ago, expectations were high. You got to the title game. Stevens Point was phenomenal. Last year, you don't get here despite wanting to be here. So what are the expectations this year? Where is the pressure level, as it were, this season?
Well, we've really kind of made a concerted effort not to apply pressure now. I mean, these guys have done such a terrific job the last few weeks. I'm not going to make any real heavy-handed, you're going to remember this the rest of your life. We're not going down that road. It's going to be, hey, we're thrilled to be here. We're playing with great confidence. We just want to be the best Augustana team that we can be right now, and I think that'll serve us well, and we'll see what happens.
2 years ago, you played Babson in the semifinals, and they're here, but this time you're going to take on Williams in the semifinal, another team that nobody had expectations for. Heck, they were the 6th seed coming out of the NESCAC. What do you see on tape from what you've seen with Williams that either you hope to take advantage of or you're concerned with and you need to worry about?
Well, concerned with, certainly they've got great size, great length, and they shoot the ball terrific. They're very skilled for a team that size. They shoot 28 threes a game at about 35%. They've got 1 single great player, and they run an offensive system that's unique. Everybody calls it the Princeton, but great movement. They run a lot of stuff through the high post. all those things give us concern. I'm really pleased we've had a week to prepare. Just like when we played Wartburg. Wartburg, I think, caught people off guard with their system. So it's challenging. They've got a terrific team, but, we've had a week to get ready, and we'll see what happens.
If we're watching this game early on, whether it be a fan who knows your team well or just someone who's watching the game or myself calling it, what should we be keying on early to understand if things are going your way or you are going to have to make some adjustments?
Well, if they're making uncontested threes, it's going to be a long night. You can't. It's no secret. I told our guys, let's not make them prove it. They've proven it. They're terrific shooters from the perimeter, and we want to keep them from getting uncontested threes. And we're going to try to apply pressure. I mean, that's who we are. We extend our defense out, and we're hoping that those things can be effective against them. Rather, on the other end, we want to try to push the tempo and see if we can get some easy baskets in transition before they have a chance to use all that length to their advantage in the half court.
Last time you were here, I think I joked with you, how long does the jacket stay on? And you kept it on the entire first half, which threw me for a complete curveball against Babson. So my question is, again, knowing that you can probably play with my mind here, how long does the jacket stay on?
The problem is the officials in our league are familiar with me, and they're not shook up about that.
No, they are not.
The animation. And, we talked about that, I think, recently. Pat at UW Whitewater has a different demeanor than John at St. Thomas.
Yes.
And so you're just wired how you are.
Right.
It's not a real conscious thing, but hopefully I'll stay composed and our team will reflect that.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so he's going for the whole half at least. We know that. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Looking forward to seeing you in semifinal too. Great to see you back here, and we look forward to seeing what the Vikings can put on the floor.
We're glad to be here and look forward to a great weekend.
Awesome. Greg Giovanni from Augustana. When we come back, we preview the second semifinal. We'll find out what our experts think of this one. You're watching the Hoopsville Courtside Pregame Show. Back from Salem after this.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Division III allows you to give yourself.
And welcome back to the Salem Civic Center in Salem, Virginia, as we get ready for semifinal number 2. It is Augustana versus Williams in a matchup that we probably didn't expect. But quickly, let's go back to the last game. Gordon Mann now joining me. Gordon, Babson was down 25. Midway late in the first half. They go on an incredible run just to make it manageable and then flip the script in the second half and not blow past them, but at least take over. At one point, they only allowed 21 points late in the second half of that half to Whitman. It was incredible.
I think two things happened in the game. Whitman had started off so hot. They were up 25. Whitman was 4 of 5 from 3 to start the game. They finished
7 of 12.
Yeah,
8 of 22. I'm sorry.
8 of 22. Harrison and Howe combined were 9 of 10 to start the game. They made 3 shots the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So some of that is just regression to the mean, so to speak.
Yeah.
But credit Babson's defense for doing 2 things. Completely shutting Howell out in the second half in terms of denying him, making him take those floaters that he likes to take at really, really weird contorting angles. And then on the offensive side of things, finding Nelson again and again and again.
Yeah.
They had it set up in the press break there where they would bring it across. They would go Flannery to Comanal to Nelson, the same zigzag every time, and it left Nelson all alone on the baseline. Whitman's forwards are very quick. But they had trouble getting back in. The forwards didn't seem to really know where they were supposed to be in transition defense. So you saw Wiggins and some of these other guys kind of floating and basically giving Nelson space to shoot, drive, set up, do whatever he wanted. And that turned into, that was 10, 12 points easily in the second half.
Yeah, amazingly that they've lost everybody on the baseline so many times. Quickly ahead to this one, Augustana versus Williams, again in a game that's kind of a what game? Right. Both teams coming in feeling pretty darn good. They're playing pretty darn well. What gives in this one?
I think the story in this one, the key for this game is Krishawn Orange from Augustana, sophomore, unique talent, has played with ice water through his veins, 2 buzzer beaters. Can Williams guard him off the dribble? That's the key to the game.
That's a fascinating one to think about. Yeah, I was thinking maybe Johnson inside.
Yep.
It'll be fascinating to see. Somebody's going to have to move on and take on Babson, whether it's going to be an all-Massachusetts final or a heavyweight final in some ways. Augustana Babson, which we saw 2 years ago in the semis. It remains to be seen. He'll be joining me back again. We'll have post-game in the second. We're going to get going again because, well, I've got duties and Gordon's got duties, and, well, we got to get the lights off before they do the introductions. Thanks for tuning in for the second one. We hope you enjoy the next one, and we will talk to you after the conclusion of semifinal number 2.